Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the ASUS ROG DreamLeague Season 3 with myself, ODPixel and Draskell here at the casting desk. We're ready to get ourselves into the first series of the day between Vega and, of course, Yellow Submarine, and they've managed to get through the tiny IO, Draskell.
Yeah, I mean, Shane, I think, is the one who mentioned it when we were sitting on the couch, but they banned out Shadow Fiend for Barash, of course.
Yes.
Because it's the only hero that he's played pretty much in this entire qualifier. So I understand, you know, he had some pretty good success with it. But taking it out, that leaves one of the heroes capable of going through, and Yellow Submarine banned Bat. Some hero that some teams value as a first, like, top-tier hero ban, but some people don't think it's quite as good. And, of course, that let Vega first pick Wisp. Now, they did get Axe and Witch Doctor, which arguably are two of the better heroes to pair against any Wisp, because Witch Doctor Cask is great. And if you can land a nice blink call on top of the relocate, there's some pretty good counterplay potential there. But Vega, I think, are probably just going to continue to remove all the heroes that are annoying against Wisp. So they ban out the Shaker. You could see a Disruptor ban as well. There's a few other heroes that do well with it, but I think Disruptor is probably one of the most annoying.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in this kind of, in this DreamLeague season, have we ever seen Tiny IO lose?
No.
No.
I don't think so. Even in the game where we saw Burden United play, Burden had single like 0-6, and then they still ended up winning that game. So I don't actually think Tiny IO has lost yet.
And this is, I mean, you know, talking about what we kind of expect from both sides in terms of the skill level, it is coming out from the stronger side as well. There you go. In coming into this matchup, Tiny IO. I mean, okay, so you said Disruptor is one of the heroes that would be nice against it. The Vega might look to ban out. Whatever kind of hero, they're going to ban out the Lion.
That's good too, yeah.
Whatever kind of heroes are good against the Tiny IO, do you feel that in your eyes can really shut them down to an extent that there's no coming back?
Well, that's just the thing though, is like, even if there's heroes that are good against the relocate, nothing can really completely shut a Wisp Tiny out of the game. Because even if Tiny is having a bad start, you go blink, and then you just go for picks, and those picks get you back into the game, you build your Ags, and you just still can transition into a hard carry. But I think Shaker and Lion are both good in their own right. The Lion can immediately kill the Wisp. That's the strength that he brings. So you get like an Impale on the relocate, you hex in your finger, and the Wisp is dead. And then you can try to counterplay. But Lena also kind of does the same thing, who's been more or less ignored right now. And as we see Yellow Submarine take Storm, I think it'll be less likely that they're going to be the ones picking that hero up. And since Queen is banned, I wouldn't put it past Vega to maybe take Lena themselves as a core position here. Because again, Storm, it matches up fairly well. And it's great stun follow-up. It's another hero who transitions into core. But we haven't seen Yellow Submarine's second support, so we don't know if they're going to be going gank heavy or if they want to do the patented 2-1-2.
10 seconds
remaining. Indeed, well, we'll see if anything's revealed here with this third pick from the side of Vega. I mean, in terms of the Tiny IO, you're seeing a Storm Spirit. Are they going to want to keep the Tiny IO in the mid lane against this, or do you feel they'll roll it elsewhere? And well, it's going to be the Centaur Warren, and we do, of course, expect that to be the solo safe laner or off laner, depending on how Vega want to run it.
Yeah, it'll probably be off lane. Mag is very well known for his Centaur play, so I'm assuming that's where we're going to see him take that up. But when we're talking about the Storm, I think like a 2v1 Wisp Tiny versus a Storm, obviously the Storm's going to struggle. And the major problem that he has is if he's in that lane, he's going to have to spam, which means that you're going to give wand charges to two heroes. And that's never a good thing, because the Wisp can give his mana and health to the Tiny, and then he also has another stick on top of that. And they're going to take a Rubik here, so if it ends up being a dual lane mid from Vega, they'll probably have to do like Witch Doctor Storm, which is, it's okay. Like, it wouldn't be a bad lane because Witch Doctor has great lane harass, very high base damage, great range. But then you would kind of be lacking in your off lane and your safe lane, because if you just leave a Rubik and one other hero down there, it's going to have to be a pretty self-sufficient farmer. They're going to need like some kind of range core. But again, that's only if they feel like they have to support the Storm in mid.
10 seconds remaining.
Okay, now with the fourth pick from Vega, I mean, it is going to be the Disruptor for themselves. We were talking about the fact that it might get picked up against them. So, I mean, I guess the fact you've got a Rubik means that you can try and get that old glimpse and use it against them.
Yeah, it's a hard spell to steal though, because max level glimpse range, you're way out of spell steal range. So if somebody is like running away from an engagement and you're just chasing them out, the glimpse can get a kill and you can't have a chance to steal it. And it's also fantastic against Storm. It's actually, I don't know if it's good or bad against Axe. I suppose you could just Storm on top of him, but it's also great for interrupting Witch Doctor for his Death Ward, because you can be standing anywhere. And even if he's been standing still, if you glimpse him, it still stops the channel. So yeah, it's great. Very good pick.
Okay, indeed. Now with the final pickup for, final ban for the side of Vega. Looking at Yellow Submarine's draft, we obviously, I guess, still expect them to need that position 1 farming core. Anyone that kind of comes to mind in this situation? Juggernaut was pretty much a safe ban from Vega.
It seems like they want to fight a lot.
Yeah.
Like Juggernaut was a hero who has the capability of fighting behind his team because of things like Spin and Omni. So they're banning out a fighting carry. So I think that Vega are trying to take away some of the aggressive potential here. You could even be seeing something like a Medusa. Like, I don't think Medusa would be that bad against this team. Like against Centaur
that's true, actually.
And Tiny Wisp, you can preemptively pop your ulti so they can't like jump on you straight away. You're extremely durable. They have no form of mana burn at all. And you have a team who can create a ton of space with these heroes. And Medusa. Okay.
Draskell. Everybody, ladies and gentlemen.
The dream.
Fantastic. I mean, yeah, as you were saying, you've got the Axe Medusa combination, and I mean, you can't write off the old Witch Doctor Death Ward through the Stone Gaze. That's a lot of physical DPS.
Yeah, it hurts crazy bad. It's actually 50% more effective when everyone's frozen up too. So, yeah, the Medusa pick is strong. Vega right now, they could pick another hero like Phoenix. I think would be decent right now if they wanted to go like Phoenix Centaur off lane,
10 seconds
and then they could do. Well, actually, no, they need a mid. Never mind. They won't do Phoenix. They need a mid.
Remaining.
Unless, I mean, do they leave
Although
it?
Phoenix is really nice for their team.
You don't feel they could leave it Tiny Eye in the mid lane and then maybe pick up, you know,
they could do Disruptor. They could do Disruptor Scent as well, and then have a Phoenix solo. But I really think that Phoenix crushes their lineup so hard because like they will get BKBs eventually, but not for a very long time. And when you have Centaur ulti to engage and relocate, and you can Phoenix ult on top of that, it's a lot of chaos. Like that's the kind of team fight that they would have. It's very chaotic and hard to focus somebody down. So
I mean,
we'll
the one thing I kind of feel about these drafts is that Vega, they have the ability to play it very safe against Yellow Submarine in the sense that anytime the Stone Gaze comes out, they're looking for team fight, they have got the Stampede and they'll get themselves out. It's going to be the Beastmaster final pick.
BM's good too. They are going to switch it up though, since they picked another hero that Mag plays. Mag's not going to be playing Centaur this game. It's going to be Pache Bashu playing as a Centaur War Runner. But it's a hero who buys book, and they did, like we mentioned, they didn't have any way of mana burning, and that's why that Medusa pick was really strong, because they have to like straight brute force down the Medusa. But if you get a blink and a book on Beastmaster, we saw yesterday on I think it was Pasha Invoker, right? Who was playing it, and he melted people. Yeah, it was very, very powerful. So I do like it.
Well, let's see how this one goes down. First game of the day, ladies and gentlemen, in between Yellow Submarine and Vega here at the ASUS ROG DreamLeague Season 3. My name's ODPixel, I'm here with Draskell, and over on the side of the Dire today, we're going to be seeing Mag on the Beastmaster. He's going to be paired up with his old buddy. I mean, I talked about it before. They like to go to lane holding hands. It's the 1-2 combo.
Have they ever not laned together?
They do. They have a little bit of a thing going on between them. But it's beautiful, and it does seem to work out most of the time for Vega. No one is going to be on the Tiny, and we've also got 9 Pashi Bashu on the Centaur. Now it leaves Disruptor, and Disruptor could be in trouble. PSM looking for the telekinesis. I don't think he's going to find it. Disruptor's a little bit too speedy here.
Yeah, he didn't start boots. If he had started boots, that would have been a guaranteed kill, more or less, because a lift into a Witch Doctor stun is just dead. No way he would have been able to escape. So unfortunate the smoke didn't pay off for Yellow Submarine.
Indeed, and well, on the topic of Yellow Submarine, Draskell, give us the lowdown. What are we seeing from the guys?
All right, so we got Fervian. He's going to be handling Witch Doctor here. Going to have Axe played by Dale, one of his signature heroes, I guess, PSM. He's going to be handling the Rubik. In the river here, we're going to have Barash playing something other than Shadow Fiend for once, but playing Storm. And then finally, Miposhka is going to be handling the Dusa.
Okay, I mean, we're talking about the power of the Tiny IO. How do you want to play it? Is it you, as on top of just winning your lanes, you've got to start pushing it as soon as possible, or do you have to just find out where the Tiny is and punish him so much that he can't get his Aghanims? What do you do against the Tiny IO?
I think being able to spot out the Tiny IO and gank them in particular is the best way to go about it. They are going to end up having a dual lane versus a dual lane. So Rubik Storm versus Tiny Wisp. That lane is probably still slightly favored for Yellow Submarine. You can still die though. That's the scary part, is there's always going to be a lot of stun toss spam. You could potentially get caught out on the Rubik. He's probably the one who's more likely to suffer if he makes his way back towards that lane. But if your general play style is don't take engagements unless you know relocate's on cooldown, or you know where the Wisp and Tiny are, and you can fight directly into them. Because if you gank those two, obviously they can't relocate in aggressively and turn a fight around. It's more like they're going to have to relocate away.
I mean, talking about the lanes as well from the side of Radiant, what's up with the positioning there. So they put the Medusa and the Witch Doctor against the Centaur and the Disruptor, and they've left the Axe on his own to deal with the Beastmaster.
Yeah.
Why have they done this?
It's a smart call because if you put the Axe in the safe lane, knowing that at the very least Beastmaster will be down there, every melee gets smashed by Axe. Like, it's very hard for you to ever farm. That's why we saw the Axe versus Clockwork matchup so often, because Clockwork is also seen as a melee hero bully. But against Axe, it doesn't matter if he doesn't have mana, because all he needs to do is tank the creep wave and spin. And the damage output you have is simply too high to really compete with if you're going to try to trade with him. So Axe always will win in these types of scenarios, especially in a safe lane. And plus, I mean, Dusa and Witch Doctor isn't that bad of a dual lane. Dusa's got okay base damage. Between the Disruptor and the Centaur, they have very little kill potential on these two. So they can just have the Dusa farm. The Centaur will probably trade. But as we say, that Mapushka is not farming that well, because Centaur has really good base damage and such, but top lane.
Houston will connect. The kinetic field's already down. Solo coming in to try and help out the side. They're looking for the body block and they're finding it. The paralyzing cast does bounce nicely, but not nice enough. Seema the Slayer there with a final Thunderstrike instance, bringing down Miposhka. So I mean, as nice as a dual lane as it was, it's I guess when they go aggressive and if they catch out the Medusa like that without any mana, she does still blow up pretty quickly.
Well, he is only level 2, so 1 point into mana shield is decent, but he only has 273 mana, and yeah, that was a 3-man gank there, with the Wisp helping out with the tether and giving a bit of bonus move speed. I actually feel if he had not been there, they would have not gotten that kill, because the cask bounce actually went back to the Centaur at the last second and probably would have stopped him from getting one more hit off, and it did in fact do that, and then the only reason he died is because the Disruptor got one more swing in, but good start here for Vega. Their laning phase is not going amazing, but I also don't think it needs to. I think you can rely on the Wisp and the Tiny for relocates, and using your Beastmaster for vision. I think that's why they ended up last picking the hero in the first place. I only mentioned Phoenix because it is amazing against Blink Initiators when you can spot them out and just put like a damage over time on them. Like you dive in and you hit them with a Spirit, and it takes a long time for it to wear off. And plus it's also really good against Storm, because Storm never wants to buy BKB before his 3rd or 4th item. But the Beastmaster is great because it synergizes well with the Wisp, just being able to see where you want to relocate.
Okay, I mean, so far in the laning stage, obviously Vega did get the first blood, but in terms of farm, it's looking up. I mean, Axe, as you were saying at the start, pretty much getting the farm that we expected. 21 CS in the lane so far, and Storm in the mid lane, 15 CS, up against the 11 for 6 for Tiny. I mean, it's close, but Storm has found the slight edge here against the Tiny. Obviously, with the IO leaving the lane, there is going to be the space for Storm to come out on top.
Yeah, whenever he rotates out, there's not really going to be much that no one can do. And this Wisp needs to be careful, man. Rubik's going to take the regen. Probably not the ideal play, but I think he would have gone in and tried to kill it. Although, maybe you could have baited that rune and see, like, he goes into auto-attack it, you lift him and he dies. Because now the Storm doesn't have any bottle charges left.
Axe grabbed himself the bounty rune there at the bottom. I mean, look at the two safe laners, the Axe and the Centaur. In terms of who's going to get their Blink Dagger online the quickest, we see 650 gold on the Axe and the Centaur in turn. Oh, he's, well, in fact, nice spins here. He's got a fair few creeps on him. He's going to go down there with the dunk, and well, Dale, he finds the spins and he finds himself the kill.
No wonder he plays Axe. Guys, RNGesus. He spun 3 times in like less than 2 seconds. That was insanely good luck to be able to get those kind of spins that quickly, and Mag going to be suffering a bit because of that. His Blink Dagger timing is going to be insane as well.
Really
top
good,
lane though.
Indeed, they're bringing back the Witch Doctor there with a glimpse. Houston does catch in. The cask is bouncing, but it's not going to be enough to bring down anyone in turn. And 9 Pashi Bashu is being topped up by the IO. So they do find a kill on the Witch Doctor, and that's going to help the Centaur out in terms of his Blink Dagger timing. How much gold are we seeing on there? 9 Pashi Bashu now after that. Yeah, 1400. So, I mean, things going as they are, it's going to be a very kind of close timing for both of these two heroes with the Blink Daggers. And I mean, it's just a question of who's going to be able to make the most happen with those Blink Daggers available.
I think the Axe still has a bit of an easier time, but the Centaur can also do a lot. It's just down to what openings they can find. In terms of vision, I think Vega are going to have the advantage because they have a Beastmaster. So maybe the Centaur initiation will be better because he'll be able to find the opportunities more often due to his team having better vision middle lane.
Indeed, telekinesis as they zip forward. The cask is there as well. Solo trying to top up no one, and with the charges and the stick charges, he's doing it for the time being. And no one, he's not able to get away. Does go down Barash, getting low, but he stands his ground. Fights up against the IO, and he'll be able to claim himself a double kill there on the Storm Spirit. That's very nice there for Barash on the Storm.
It was really close to being able to save the Tiny. It just didn't have any bottle charges left, and I think his stick was also on cooldown when he ended up dropping.
Has got a haste screen. We'll find the kinetic field onto Miposhka. Naipashi Bashu coming in close for the hoof stop, double edge, and the Medusa will go down regardless of the stick charges.
Yeah, some early kills happening. I kind of expected top lane would be an area with some kills because Disruptor punishes positioning so hard when you try to run. It doesn't really help you to run away from that hero in a lot of cases, and plus he'll almost be 5 probably in the next creep wave after he goes back to lane. But everything considered, I would say that Yellow Submarine are probably getting a little bit better out of the laning phase. My one concern is that Dale is opting for Vanguard.
I was going to say, what do you think about that? I mean, obviously the farm is great. It's going to be a very good timing on the Vanguard, but when is a Vanguard going to be more impactful than a Blink?
I think usually you buy Vanguard when you have really big creep stacks that you can go farm and immediately jump to your Blink, but he doesn't have any. He has no stacks. Well, he has 1 double, but you don't need a Vanguard to kill that. You know, you can just call it. But Seema?
Seema's in a bit of trouble here as he glimpses the Storm. It's not going to do enough to save his life, and that's another kill here for Brash, now in a killing spree. 3 kills on this Storm. He's on 3.3k gold on top of the 2.3k that the Tiny has. There's already a 1,000 gold deficiency for the Tiny compared against the Storm.
The gold isn't really as big of a deal for him at this stage. Like, obviously Tiny wants to start getting some farm, but if you're level 8 or 9, you have your stun toss, you have a wisp, you're going to be able to get into the team fights and deal a huge chunk of damage. Like these supports like Rubik and the Witch Doctor, even Storm with just treads, if he goes for Orchid first and gets caught, he can very easily just get bursted down. And like that turnaround kill is going to be very big for Vega.
I mean, Axe now does have the completed Vanguard, so 7.5 minute Vanguard Tranquils. You're going to have a hard time killing the Axe now.
Oh, you're never going to kill him. No. Not for now. And they don't have any intention of fighting him anyway.
No.
Like, if I see an Axe who buys a Vanguard first, I go, okay, I'm ignoring that hero, and I'm just going to try to punish other lanes. Because they're trying to commit on a Vanguard at like that early is just too much.
He's straight away on the top lane, going in on the Medusa yet again. Miposhka will turn around, and Naipashi Bashu getting fairly low. Barash zips in, does get glimpsed straight away, but he still finds the hit there with the overload blowing up the Centaur. Centaur did manage to buy the Blink Dagger though before he goes down, so it's not the biggest of loss. And Dale, here's the Vanguard juice. He's just running straight past the tower and straight towards the Disruptor. Storm's come back in. The dunk will bring down the Storm. Oh god, Disruptor, that's the name of the hero. Finally, Storm also finds the kill onto the IO. So, I guess if you want to just run straight past towers and do that, then the Vanguard it's a beautiful pickup.
Vanguard's fantastic for the old run at him strategy. Barash got back there a lot faster than he thought he would as well. I mean, he's got 1,600 gold to his name in tread, so he's got enough almost for the first Oblivion staff. And Yellow Submarine
looking really good.
They're doing really well. They just get the safe lane tier 1, take away from Vega. There was no rotation from the Tiny though, so it's always important to keep in mind that they're not fighting with everything. Like the Beastmaster hasn't really done much, and the Tiny also hasn't contributed in any real way so far. When that happens, I think we're going to start seeing the impact of what their team composition is meant to do. But I mean, Solo's only level 4 right now. He really, really needs to catch up. He needs to be able to relocate that Tiny into those fights where they're tower diving aggressively.
I mean, that is the one thing that we can't forget, that it is a Tiny IO game, and many, many times before, as we were saying before the match, we've seen Tiny IO come back from some pretty horrific starts.
Yep.
I mean, Vega, they're still finding like, a little bit for their heroes. It is Tiny at the top of the net worth for the team, but he is still a fair bit behind both the Axe and the Storm, understandably, with the amount of action that Axe and Storm as a combination have been finding, especially in that little top lane engagement. 10 minutes in Axe, I mean, after that with the Vanguard, he must be getting closer and closer to the Blink Dagger on top of it. Yeah, it's on 1,400 gold 10 minutes in on top of the Tranquils and the Vanguard.
His farm is insane. I think this is kind of the benefit of having smart lanes. The Dusa lane didn't really farm a ton, but it didn't need to because Dale's going to be the one who's relied upon to have impact in this game. So if Dale has an amazing start and the Storm has an amazing start, which they both have, they can carry that momentum and create the space that Deuce is going to need to recover. And all honesty, they might not even need Miposhka to do anything for like the next 10 to 15 minutes. And that's the kind of security that you want playing on a super hard carry like that.
Indeed, and what we see them around the Roche pit, Rubik just heading to get that ward up on the high ground. I mean, even the Rubik, you know, 10 minutes in, he's halfway on his way to the Blink Dagger, got about 970 gold in the bank, and well, what have we got coming out? So Mag there with the completed Necro book, and the boots coming out for Solo. A lot of pings coming out here onto the Beastmaster. They've sent the Storm Spirit illusions out there to give them some good vision of the dire side of the map around where the Beastmaster is. And I mean, they're aware that Beastmaster is alone here on this lane. They do have 4 heroes on the side of Yellow Submarine grouped up. Maybe they're going to look to try and force a tower down here. They've already taken the tier 1 on the top. If they get another tier 1 11.5 minutes in, the gold gain is going to be pretty spectacular for the side of Yellow Submarine.
They're going to just continue this momentum. I don't really see any way for Vega to fight into this right now. And the longer they wait, the closer Dale's going to get to his own blink. They're looking to trade right now, which I think is the right decision to make. You do have blink on Centaur, but it's not really enough to where I would feel confident just trying to 5-man. Your Wisp now is level 6, so Solo now can relocate. That's the big key here, because it can relocate behind, go for a nice blink play with a Centaur, or maybe just have the Tiny relocated in and go for a combo and just try to get some quick kills. And it is a very volatile game right now. One team fight can drastically swing the outlook of the game.
Indeed, well, the side of Yellow Submarine putting pressure here onto the tier 2. Nampashi Bashu looking for a bit of a wrap round with his blink. Dale, I think he must be only about 50 gold away from the blink dagger himself on this axe, because he was, yeah, he's literally closing in. He'll be able to pretty much just hang around by this side shop and pick that up if he wants to stick around for the next fight. Smoke's going to be grabbed by Rubik, and Rubik now with the completed arcanes. That's going to just help the side of Yellow Submarine continue this aggression and continue to stick together as a 5-man or 4-man lineup as they do leave the space for Medusa to continue to farm. Io, of course, with the level 6, we're yet to see any kind of big relocate ganks coming out from him. It's a 1,500 net worth lead for the side of Yellow Submarine and 2k, so I mean that's not a big difference at all, but it's certainly something, and it's a lead that's been kind of constant for the last few minutes here, that Vega just struggling to find the fights and the farm to get themselves back on top.
Their lead in a numerical sense doesn't seem that impressive, but it's about how their heroes function with the gold that they have. Yeah. So a lot of times you're gonna see a smoke here, by the way, so I don't know if I want to say this now. Okay, they're going to back up, so. But yeah, anyway, they're going to go for a blink initiation here, most likely, and they could find the Tiny IO in the woods.
That'd be pretty big. Yeah. I mean, Tiny IO haven't been able to achieve anything so far. If they're able to, the side of Yellow Submarine are able to get a kill, they might focus towards Seaman. They pop down a warded lane, and the courier's there as well. I'm going to be able to dunk it, though. They go straight for the kill onto the Disruptor. They actually dunk a little bit earlier, but the final swish through and the bolt flying in from Barash will find the kill there. Unstoppable kill streak now in your Storm Spirit. Tiny IO, they go for the objectives. They do go down with a relocate. It's the bottom lane. Fortification will hold them back for a few seconds, but they will be able to commit. And Tiny does get himself a little bit more gold there from that tower, and he is catching up in terms of net worth. He's only 600 behind the Storm Spirit now.
That's the benefit of being able to just always farm when you have the Wisp following you up and stun mid.
Yeah, Tiny gets the avalanche out, but blinking straight away from Dale. Zip forward from Barash, and down goes the Death Ward, but the double edge from the Centaur's already killed him. There's 2 heroes down on Yellow Submarine. Barash zipping forward will find the Tiny. Dale, he's caught in the Static Storm. He goes down as well. Nampashi Bashu solo, so he will go also. It's a double kill for this IO and a triple kill for Solo. Miposhka, he is kind of cleaning up on the back of it for the Radiant, but it looks like the final cleanup's going to be on himself, as it is a 5-man team wipe, and Yellow Submarine only being able to bring down 3 of the 5 heroes on Vega.
I'm kind of surprised that I really wish that replays worked right now, because I wanted to see what Seema did, because in the beginning of the fight, that Witch Doctor ward pretty much pummeled the Tiny, like just beat him down from like 80% to 0.
And I think the Centaur went straight for the Witch Doctor, didn't he?
Yeah, and no one really disabled it. And I'm thinking to myself, you have a Disruptor who's now level 8. He was probably like level 7 during the team fight. He could have very easily stopped that at any point. Mag didn't even have time to roar by the time the duration of the ulti had worn off. And it was just a really chaotic fight overall. And in the end, Vega did come out on top, but they lost a lot of their cores in the process.
Yeah, I mean, we are 15 minutes in. The Tiny's farm is certainly looking up. He's got the treads, drums, and he's halfway to the Aghanim Scepter. So that's going to be online in a few minutes' time, especially if he's able to get himself involved in some more kills. It's going to be hard to relocate on this, though, because they're sticking together as a group and looking to take down another tier 1, which they will find here in the mid lane. The money going to Miposhka.
You know what? He was dead. Because he was the first one to die, because he died behind the tower, and he must have just gotten a TP back and then teleported back in, and then it was like Mag wasn't at the fight at the start, so they couldn't interrupt it. Yeah, okay, that's definitely what happened. I was like, wait a minute, it makes no sense, because if he's here, how can the Witch Doctor ward be real if the Disruptor is not real?
All right,
Jaden, he was dead.
Jaden Smith, calm down.
All right, I'm sorry, couldn't help it.
Here we go, smoke up, Seema the Slayer. Whoa, he is the slain. Seema the slain as he goes down there. 12-8 now for the side of Yellow Submarine.
That's the ideal person to get ganked, though, if you're Vega. If somebody 5-man smokes, you want a support to die. You don't want a core to go down. Like, the worst case would be probably, like, Wisp Tiny being the ones who get caught out by the relocate, but obviously that's not going to be the case. And 16-minute Orchid here from Barash. So he can start just going on whoever he wants. And wow, he is really looking for somebody. He's going to use quite a bit of mana here, but not find solo. CTP's out. I think as the game continues, the side of Vega are going to get stronger in terms of how much the gold does for their team. Like, once no one gets Aghanims, he can make his way towards either BKB or just go straight Assault Cuirass, which I think he'll probably not buy BKB that early, solely because of the Dusa and how little BKB actually does against the hero. So I feel once he gets like an item or two, game's going to look a little bit more difficult for Yellow Submarine.
So far, they seem to be having a pretty smooth time, apart from that fight in the mid lane. If we have a look at the overall net worth, I'd imagine it's still not going to be that much of a difference. And, well, in fact, no, it's even down. If anything, it's just slightly edging towards the side of Vega and coming up to pretty much a flat 0 in terms of difference in XP. So there was a little kind of early peak there for Yellow Submarine. It's now kind of been lost. But I guess as the game does kind of progress to the, well, only 17 minutes in, but when it will get later, they do have a Medusa, and in terms of breaking the high ground, eventually it's going to be very hard for Vega.
Fighting into Stonegaze is a nightmare. You don't really, because when you relocate, if the Medusa has her ulti off cooldown and you're ever fighting into that, it's basically negating like 3 or 4 seconds of the ulti that you have. And you're not really going to be able to defend against Tiny for a while as this Medusa because her farm isn't great. Like, she only has a Bracer, Treads, Aquila, like working her way towards drums, I guess. But they're kind of favoring, I guess, giving Dale the farm, as he's the one who's given most of the in-fight impact, like getting his Blink initiations and partnering up with Barash. So I get the idea of wanting to farm him up. And if he gets BKB or he gets Aghanims, he's going to be really, really hard to take down.
I mean, do you feel BKB is the item that he does need against this lineup this match?
I think it's really good against Disruptor, because what can happen sometimes is you blink in and you call and you get glimpsed away. And even if the heroes are still technically taunted, you're not able to deal any damage through spin, and you're not able to use Culling Blade to finish off somebody. So having BKB just ensures that when you get your blink initiation, you're not going to get sent back.
Okay, it's now half, and it's Tiny now, just finding a bit of farming in the top lane. I believe that's Tiny with the completed Aghanims on his way out to him on the courier now. Let's have a look. Yeah, there's a Blade of Alacrity and the Staff of Wizardry, but they might get caught out here. Dale leading the way of the smoke. He blinks forward. We'll see them, and now the zip forward from Brash. He doesn't want to go on it, though. Okay, Io's been actually glimpsed back. Sorry, did Rubik steal the glimpse? Is that?
I guess so.
Yeah. No? No.
Wait, what?
No. Oh, no, did he steal? He stole the Tether.
Yeah, he re-stole after,
okay, re-stole. He's got himself Tether. That's a bit of fun, but yeah, the glimpse was used there to blow up the Aya. So
a very nice spell to have.
Yeah.
I mean, Tether's not bad either. You can give somebody double Arcane Boots by just having Tether.
That's true, and with a Storm Spray on your side, that's very nice indeed.
Yeah, that was a really nice play, though, because even just giving the vision was enough to be able to abuse that. And the strength of a Disruptor, I guess, even though it's Rubik. But, I mean, Vega haven't really given away too much. Like, they've lost 2 supports in the last couple of minutes. And yeah, okay, it's annoying, but they're not finding the big kills. Like, they're not killing the Tiny. They're not killing the Centaur, even. They're just 5-man smoking for these, like, 1-hero picks. And if we're being totally honest, that's why the net worth has kind of went back in favor of Vega. It's not, like, 100% for them, but the time that they're taking to do these ganks is not really giving them as much as they want it to. No. So the more time that they're giving to Vega, the more experienced players, for the most part, they're able to abuse the map a little bit better than what Yellow Submarines have been doing.
Towards the mid lane, but a zip away from the Storm, and a little bit of a hopeful relocate there as the Storm, he's well and truly gone.
Yeah, I guess he must have like messed up his blink or something. Because if you blink Centaur Stomp into relocate, then yeah, you can line it up. But his blink was on cooldown.
There's a roar here in the jungle on to PSM, but Dale's there with the spins onto Mag. In comes Storm as well. He does zip into the Static Storm, and now he'll get caught out by a Who Stomp double edge. Brash, he's very low, and he's out of mana as well. It's a 1-for-1 trade so far. They're trying to position themselves here with the Stone Gaze, but either way, they're going to be able to get 9 Pashu Bashu anyway if he doesn't get affected, because there's 3 of them there. Double kill for Dale. It's a 2-for-1 trade, and I mean, taking out the Beastmaster and the Centaur, Yellow Submarine will be very happy with that. They only lost to Rubik.
A little bit over-aggressive from Vega. They had no relocate when they took that, so they knew there's no way that the Tiny and the Wisp could be at the engagement, yet they still decided to try to fight into that spot. They had vision down, so they knew that there was a counter gank coming in. They just didn't react fast enough, and ended up not being a kill for them. They also denied the mid-tier 1, so Yellow Submarine, they're still getting some outplays here. I just have my concerns of if the Dusa is going to outscale the Tiny fast enough.
Okay.
Because Mapochka, he's got like 2k gold. And that team fight that they just had was really nice for them because they killed 2 heroes of pretty decent value. They killed the Beastmaster and the Centaur, and they only lost Rubik. So in terms of just trade, everything was great. And like I said, they denied the tier 1 mid. I always consider the team with the Wisp and the Tiny to be ahead if the game is on even terms. Because you just have so many different avenues of play. Like we can backdoor, we can gank, we can straight up 5-man push. We have a lot of options. Even sneaking Roshan is really easy. If the Wisp buys like a mech or buys a Vlad's, for example, and he is going the mech route, you can kill it at like any time in the game.
So no one on the Tiny. He's got a completed Yasha now. Is that just going to be a casual Yasha, or is there a reason why he'd want to finish that off into a Manta at this stage of the game?
Manta is almost counterintuitive against what Yellow Submarine has.
Against an Axe and against a split-shotted Medusa.
Well, the split shot's not really the important part. It's more like a Witch Doctor cast can continue to bounce between you and the illusions if you ever get caught out with just the Wisp. And it can be pretty annoying. Like, it's better to have 4 targets than 2 if you relocate in. But if you're ever with somebody else or alone, it's like, I don't know. I don't think the Manta is what he's going to finish right away, at least. He might buy it later. But he also, having a casual Yasha, gets a lot more benefit from movement speed, which is great for Tiny, because you already get a lot from Grow. You get more from Tether, and just being really fast is always good.
Posture coming up, giving him a bit of a tickle in the mid lane. They do have Roshan now under the belt. 15-9, though. Yellow Submarine still with the lead in terms of kills, but I mean, as we're seeing on the net worth board, it's been very kind of even fluctuating around the 0 point. And after the roast, it is heading towards Vega's advantage as well. XP, there's still a 2k in it, but it feels very, very close. And I mean, as you were saying earlier, Draskell, it kind of does feel like it's all going to be down to the big 5-on-5 engagement. Who comes out on top? That's really going to set the ball rolling for the rest of the game.
Yeah, there will be one point in this game where either team might not be looking for a 5-man engagement, but it will just happen because people are in the area. So like maybe the Storm looks for a pick and it ends up being like a relocate center ulti into a full 5-man versus 5-man. That will be pretty game changing, like that fight, because not really anything huge has happened the entire game. It's been a lot of small skirmishes, been some movement from the Axe, some movement from the Storm, a couple of towers have fallen, but we haven't seen like any real team fight go down. And with the Roshan advantage, Vega are definitely going to feel confident in being able to take the next big engagement that happens. Now, all tier 1s are dead, so they might also just use this time to farm and say that our Tiny will farm faster than the Medusa, which is true, because he's got 5k net worth lead on the Medusa. And that's the biggest problem, is like, even if Dusa is a fantastic late game hero, her timing is super late, and they put her in the off lane. So she's not going to have the items that she needs for like another 10 to 15 minutes minimum. And in that time, Tiny will probably have farmed like 2 more items, which means that he's just going to hit his peak faster than the Dusa will.
I mean, obviously talking about the fact that Tiny's going to farm faster, how do you counter that as Yellow Submarine? Do you look to actively fight and continue to go for these 5-man smokes, or do you just accept that for this portion of the game that Tiny is going to be more scary than the Medusa, just hang back, wait for them to come to you and just hope that you can defend the high ground?
I don't think that playing passive is ever the call when you have a Blink Axe Initiator, a Storm, and I mean, their killing potential is very high, even with just 4 heroes. I think they might have smoked a little bit prematurely and tried to find kills out of, not necessarily desperation, but they knew that they had to push their advantage. They just didn't find the kills that they really wanted. They got a couple of support picks, and the one like team fight at the beginning that happened around the tier 1, they got team wiped. So I feel like they're hesitant to just say, okay, let's try to take a straight up engagement against like Centaur ulti and Static Storm and all that stuff. But maybe with the Storm now having BKB, they'll feel a bit more confident, because that's going to allow Barash to focus anyone he wants in a team fight. He will not be able to die with this item unless he makes a pretty big mechanical error.
Okay. And Tiny, he did end up finishing off the Manta.
Yeah. I mean, it's not terrible. I just probably would have made like a casual Yasha is very common on Tiny. And then you go into something like AC, or you go into something like BKB if you think that you need it for the disable. I understand not getting the BKB in this game, but I think that maybe like AC or something like that might have given him a little bit more. But if he has Aegis, it doesn't really matter. Like, he can build anything, and he just respawns in the fight anyway, so.
Okay, Beastmaster, level 3 Necro, and now does have the Blink Dagger as well. So Mag, he's got the potential to look for this split pushing and also, of course, to make the initial jump with the Raw in these team fights. And talking about, obviously, the initial jump, you've kind of got the Beastmaster jumping in for the side of the Vega. Who are you looking to jump on first? Who do you want to catch out before they kind of react to your actions?
Well, if you're on Vega, you want to catch Storm. You want to catch Witch Doctor. Even stopping the Axe's blink can be helpful. But as the Axe and the Storm both have BKB, it's going to be hard to just straight up kill them. So maybe the best plan is trying to go for the Storm over everyone else, and then maybe like Witch Doctor as a secondary target, because those are the two that deal the most amount of damage. If you look at Rubik, I mean, it's a Rubik. What is it? He can seal a spell. It's not really that threatening. Dusa doesn't have that much farm, only has Yasha and Ultimate Orb right now, and some drums. Axe does okay damage, but it's not enough on its own to really feel like a huge threat. So if the Storm is eliminated from the fight, or there's no Death Ward, those are the two big damage dealers right now that Yellow Submarine have.
You're going to pop the Stampede here in the jungle because they have found themselves a Storm Spirit. Mag goes in with the Raw, and the follow-up burst damage is there from 9 Pashu Bashu.
Wait, how did he get so much farm all of a sudden? We haven't really talked about Mag that much, and he gets the gem like you talked about, or had it from earlier, I guess. But like Blink Book 3? That's some serious farm.
You got the gem from Rubik.
Yeah, you got the gem from Rubik.
Okay, yeah.
But that must have been earlier, because he didn't kill Rubik now.
No.
Yeah. I must have missed that, because I wasn't...
Even though I just looked at him and did maybe Rubik give the gem to Storm?
The gem to Storm.
Yeah, they gave Storm the gem.
Yeah, his bottle's in the stash, so you're definitely right.
Yeah.
Good call, good call. Okay, so... initiation.
Cool on to no one. He pops the BKB. Dale and walks back out. There's been a blink forward onto 9 Pashu Bashu going for PSM. Static Storm catches them out, but doesn't catch out the Witch Doctor. The Death Force doing quite a bit with the paralyzing cask, holding Solo and no one back. Dale, he's thinking whether he can go back in, tries to get the call onto Solo. Will actually get tossed up there by the Tiny. Solo still lives. There's no one dying so far in this engagement, but Dale looking to continue. There's going to be a TP out, but he cancels it and realizes, okay, we're not teleporting today, and is just going to pop the drums and run. And as Dale follows the belt longer down, they will find the Orchid, and they do get the Electric Vortex here with the call as well. Tiny could be in a lot of trouble. He's got a lot of damage. He's fairly tanky, but he's not tanky enough, as the dunk from Dale means that Tiny is the only casualty in that engagement.
That was really weird. I mean, the initiation looked kind of awkward at first, because Dale pretty much got a one-man call. The Aegis was gone, though, which is the big deal, because he couldn't fight that anymore. I don't know if it was really the... Was it the right call to taunt? I guess in the end it ended up working out, but I feel like Vega didn't focus fire at all. Like the targeting was really poor. The only person who went on the proper targets, I think, was Pasha Bashu. He went in the back and he got a nice double stun. And then the Tiny just spent the entire fight trying to stop Dale from culling the Wisp. And it's like, okay, yeah, but when you do that, you're not actually getting any trade. You're just like stopping somebody who's not going to end up dying in the first place. And Storm had time to revive, balled in, and we know what happened after that. So. Nice defense from Yellow Submarine. They got some damage onto the tier 1. It's actually in deny range, or tier 2, excuse me, in middle lane. So they'll probably end up smacking that down at some point if Barash notices. Maybe he didn't.
Dude, 16 to 10 though, that was a pretty big swing in terms of XP's gold, as we've just seen on the graph. About 4k coming out in both aspects, favoring the side of Vega. Medusa, she's got enough money to finish off her Manta, and on top of that coming up to 1,000 gold as well. So the farm is beginning to look up for the Medusa, and she is kind of catching up with the tide. Still about 4.5k difference, but it's not as big as it was earlier. And yeah, I mean, if the momentum continues as it is, Yellow Submarine could very well get to a point that the Medusa suddenly becomes pretty damn scary.
Yeah, if you're Vega, you have like 10 more minutes maybe that you feel comfortable in. And then the time after that, it starts to be like, okay, well, now the Deuce is going to start actually dealing damage. And then there's like 3 or 4 things that we have to worry about instead of just 1 or 2. So yeah, I think that Yellow Submarine's lineup will continue to become stronger over time. It's just like a larger time investment that they need to be able to make sure that the Pushka has everything up and running. And I wonder if he actually just goes for Scotty. I don't think he goes Manta here. Like, Manta against Vega's team is almost entirely worthless, actually.
That's a good point, actually. Yeah, you think it's just a casual Yasha for Miposhka. The
tankiness of the Scotty will allow him to sit front line like on tier 3, and they will end up denying the tier 2 now. So their base is relatively exposed in 2 lanes, and having the Scotty can be all you need.
Okay, Mag's going to head into the pit. We're going to see in a second what the respawn time is going to be looking like for the Roshan, and it's going to be a fairly short one. He's not going to find it now, but he'd probably leave one of his beasts there.
Oh, this is such good timing from Yellow Submarine. Very nice.
Oh, indeed, leading in. Miposhka, Medusa, ready to fight.
But will they find anyone?
Oh, here comes the farm. walks past and continue out here. Indeed, as you said, I mean, both the Beastmaster has backed up on the bottom lane. Your Disruptor, who was in the mid lane, right back up to the high ground. And look at this, I mean, play from Vega. They know that something's up, and they're just keeping themselves.
Yeah, but if you look at the lanes, like top and bottom, they're super pushed in, and they know that Roshan's also spawning soon. So their mentality is probably, okay, they smoked. It's pretty standard to smoke to try to get Roshan control. Like, you get a gank off of that, and you just go in. But now Vega have fully realized what's going on, and they'll spot Dale with the ward, so they know exactly what's up.
I mean, can Yellow Submarine get Roshan off the back of this?
No, excuse me, that was Yellow Submarine's ward. Never mind, they placed that.
Yeah, they're going to start going for Roche. I mean, Vega, can they contest this? They're heading slowly towards
the
kill
it really slow.
Yeah, it's going to take them a bit of time
really
here.
slow.
Who have we got coming close so far? Just the Beastmaster and the Disruptor here.
But they have such good vision. They're going to see everyone when the smoke wears off.
Poshka down.
There's already a few who they're just faking it. They don't want to take the damage.
Ah, they're going to find Seema the Slayer as Disruptor comes out a little bit too far. BKB's pop, and the Stampede is going to be enough to get Disruptor away. It looks like it is. And Disruptor's going to be safe here. And the Juicer pops the Stone Gaze. Isn't actually going to catch anyone out as they get themselves away. Avalanche and toss onto Dale. Dale getting the fairly low death ward there from the Witch Doctor. Does bring down 9 Pashi Bashi on the Centaur. The dunk from Dale finds the Disruptor. He does pay off his life. Raw from Mag onto Barash, and in comes your Tiny. Tossing up the Storm, looking for the damage. Barash up to the high ground. It's not going to be enough as Io with the Spirits will find the kill. They do manage to TP out on both the Witch Doctor and the Rubik. It's a 2-for-2 trade. Yellow Submarine forced away from the pit, and maybe off the back of that, Vega can claim Roche for themselves.
It was honestly from Vega, it was a win, but it was a very sloppy fight. Because at the start, Seema just let Dale walk up to him and cull instead of just, like when he got tossed up in the air, he could have stormed and fielded, guaranteed the kill because the BKB on the axe was down. Would have still been alive, could have glimpsed potentially for another kill after that. So his death in turn ended up not only giving extra golden experience to Yellow Submarine, but stopped them from getting another kill. Because if you look, they had a ward in the woods, and 2 heroes were running in that path to try to TP out. And that glimpse is a bonus kill. So in the end, being stubborn with his ulti and wanting to save it for potentially using it on the Storm ended up being a really, really bad misplay. But in the end, Vega, they come out ahead. They get the Roshan. No one's going to have AC pretty darn soon. And when he gets that, it's going to become harder and harder, I think, for Yellow Submarines to start fighting here. The Dusa, fortunately, didn't die in the Roshan engagement. And even though they had a really nice idea, just forcing out the bait, right? Because they smoked up, they placed ward on a hill, and they had another ward by the Roshan pit, so they saw everything that was going to happen. So only 2 heroes were smoked. So when they walked in with everybody else, and Seema got his smoke revealed, he almost instantly died, ended up getting saved. And even that, like, caused the axe to get so far out of position because he was going for the kill, right? He just wanted to chase. He popped his BKB. He's like, I got to commit to this. So it was a really hectic fight. Not really a 5 versus 5 clash, but good enough to where it gives Vega some advantage for the next couple of minutes.
Yeah, and I mean, if we can get the Grass Toucher in this pulse, I'd imagine that's pretty much nullified that 4K. Oh no, okay. No, it wasn't big enough of a swing. I guess it's not ticked in yet, to be fair.
Yeah, it takes a while.
Yeah, but I mean, that was at least a couple of thousand in terms of net worth and God. It taken into account the Roshan as well.
Yeah, including Roche, it was probably like 3K, I think, something like that, which is a sizable amount. It's really, Yellow Submarine have to be a bit worried until the Medusa gets an item after Scotty.
Yes.
Like, having the Scotty makes you tanky, but it doesn't make you deal damage. You still need to do damage. So they can look to the Witch Doctor for that. If he can get his Aghanims done, he's only around 600 away, or 570. But if they get the Aghanims up on the Witch Doctor, that's another huge source of damage that Vega have to worry about. It's not that Yellow Submarine's team doesn't scale as well. It's that Vega's, for the time being, is still stronger, even though they've been struggling with their team fights. It's like the Tiny is still a monster. You know, you have a Book 3 Blink Bots Beastmaster, and then you have a Centaur who's almost got a heart. So they have a lot of scalability. I would actually say this game is pretty darn even at this point. At 33 minutes in, it's anyone can win.
Certainly seems to feel like that, indeed. I guess, as you were saying, though, it's still up to whether Miposhka can get that damage online. And, I mean, in terms of items, she has got enough money around the corner to finish off that Skadi. She's got 3.3k gold in the bank, still just needs a couple more hundred to pick up those final components. But then, I mean, I guess it's a game of Yellow Submarine just trying to hold the base as for the period of time that it's going to take Medusa to continue to find the farm, because if the engagements do continue, as we've just seen there, Vega, if they execute their skills, they should come out on top most of the time at this point.
Yeah, the high ground push is going to be the real test, though. They can fight with the best of them outside of the map. They have really good vision of everything, basically. Like the river, they have vision of their opponent's jungle. They have a ton of room for relocates because they're putting emphasis on trying to fight before they get high ground. Like if you go high ground into a full 5 versus 5 against Yellow Submarine, that is a total disaster to try to push into. Like you got Fade Bolt for deep push, you got Storm who can ball on and catch somebody, Witch Doctor Cask with Death Ward, you got Deuce ulti, and you got a BKB Axe Call. There's so many ways for them to fight into a choke point that are really difficult for Vega to deal with. So their warding is just like, we want to find picks before we push. That is the ideal situation. I don't know if they're going to be able to find that though.
Indeed, Tiny only a few hundred gold away from his Assault Cuirass as he just farms up this top lane. And maybe sees if they can get a push going on here and claim themselves the final tier 2 on the top lane. Medusa will TP out. And the push will continue now. Tiny and Aya, 18 to 12 at the moment, 34 minutes on the clock. Top tower indeed is under attack and will go down, falling very, very quickly to the power of the Tiny Aya. And that's going to be your AC complete as well.
I think if I were Vega, my AC timing, my Vlad's timing, we have almost everything we need to break base. We have Aegis on the Tiny as well. So we should probably just try to group up and go for it. I know it's tempting to continue to farm, but the farm game isn't going to favor them if they have to break high ground. Like the longer you wait to do it, the harder it's going to be because of the Dusa. Like the Dusa makes the high ground push hard. The Axe makes the high ground push hard. Witch Doctor being allowed to farm Aghanim's now. Like if they had been able to push prior to that, I think it would have been a lot easier for Vega to end. But now it's like, even with Aegis, you can sense that they're hesitant. Like they don't want to try to go high ground because they know that the potential of Yellow Submarine's base defense is insane. So can they end the game is the question. If they fail like 2 pushes, I'd say Yellow Submarine just take the game.
Okay, Centaur with the heart now. Hopefully, I guess the Centaur really needs to be the one that's going to be doing what he was doing in the earlier team fights, where he just blinks to the back of the fight, tries to catch out the heroes like the Witch Doctor and stop them from getting that amount of damage out in this fight.
It's going to be hard, man. Like the Disruptor is going to have to be on his game. He's going to have to be looking at Fervian all the time, and he's going to have to be stopping the Death Ward. Like that is one of the most important parts. If he gets caught out by any form of initiation and the Death Ward just, you know, everyone looks at it go, that's the end. Like there's no way you can come back from that. But fortunately, they have a Centaur with a heart. So maybe they can just send in Pache Bashu, have him tank the tower a bit, go back, regen, keep doing that, rinse and repeat. Maybe try to burn your Tiny Aegis and get a tier 3 down. Could be a good plan.
And Poshka coming in with a snake, and now Tiny Io onto the tier 3s. Blink forward from Dale will pop the call onto the Tiny. Stampede comes out as well as they try and look to start the fight, and they've already started down the bottom lane because Beastmaster and the Centaur did blurt the
really
Storm Spirit. He does have buyback though, but they're already onto the racks to the side of Vega, and the melee racks will go. No, get this fortification, buying some time. There's your zip forward from Barash, trying to find Solo, but Solo, he's able to get himself forced away. Whostomp will kill Barash, and that's him down for the second time. It's a dieback on your Storm Spirit. Stonegaze does catch a couple of them. They've already used the Death Ward though. There's nothing really else for the side of Yellow Submarine to throw out. Toss forward. That's going to be a Rubik going down. Poshka falls as well. It's a triple kill here for Mag. Avalanche onto the Witch Doctor and a slap to the backside. 4 heroes down. No buyback on the Storm Spirit or the Witch Doctor. And GG, well played is called. I mean, we talked about one fight that was just going to end it, and that was the fight there for Vega.
Honestly, I don't know how Barash does that. Like, how do you get caught and then buy back and use your entire mana pool trying to kill a Wisp? Like, he bought back late, and then he used all his mana to go in with no form of escape after having bought out. Now, if I'm at the beginning of that fight, and I'm Storm, and I'm like, okay, I can find like the Wisp, I can maybe find the Disruptor, silence them, you know, kill them before my BKB wears off. That's my game plan. They have a Beastmaster with bots. He gets caught bottom lane, and he's forced to buy out. That already makes my game plan completely different. I can no longer just YOLO in. I have to have somebody else who has buyback go in first. So they need to either focus Dale, I think, because he had buyback, or focus on the Dusa, because she still didn't finish her Scotty before the game ended.
She didn't.
So she had money to buy the Scotty, but didn't have it. So I cannot lead the fight anymore. So his decision in the last fight was like, it lost his team the game. Like, getting picked was already bad enough. But the fact that he decided to just YOLO in after they had already gotten a set of racks, and he bought back as the racks died, that was like, he should stick to Shadow Fiend.
Well, There we go. Stick to Shadow Fiend is the call from Draskell. We'll see if he does that, of course, in game 2. That was just game 1 here of the first best of 3 series of the day between the sides of Vega and Yellow Submarine. First of all, we're going to go to some commercials and then over to our experts to see what they can analyze about the game at hand. But myself and Draskell, we'll see you guys in about 10 or so minutes for game 2 between Vega and Yellow Submarine. Don't go anywhere. We'll see you guys in a bit.